it even set up. Just had to show y'all Miles when I pulled up. Good day, my friends. Okay, I come to you with like a message I did not expect to have to give. But my spirit team wants me to introduce them to everybody so you guys can learn how to, I'm so sorry, please ignore my hair. I just woke up and like drove out here. Anyways, they want me to show you guys how to meet your spirit team. Damn, I'm pretty sure there's an eagle flying right in front of me, bro. Tripping, is that? Because to me, that's given eagle. Yeah, bro, I'm pretty sure. Like, I live in the desert, so it's definitely not a seagull, to say the least. Which is like another bird I feel like really colored like that. Dude, that's gotta be an eagle. That's crazy. Y'all, I've been seeing so many eagles every time I go to the park. And like, I've lived here my whole life and I've never seen any. It's so weird. Shout out eagle, shout out spirit. So anyways, my spirit team wants to meet everybody and I'm taking that as a sign. And when I pulled up, my miles were 111, so shout out. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you this story, how I experienced it. So if you would like to, damn, that eagle's just chilling, dude, that's crazy. Don't take this as instructions. I am not advising to do exactly what I did and that it will work for you. I'm giving you signs of synchronicity to look for and like things that you can be like, oh, I do that, or like, oh damn, like that happened to me too. Like I never realized it could have that type of connection. You with me? Okay. So one day, many months ago, I was just like, and what if I were to sit down with a tarot deck and ask my spirit guides to like introduce themselves, right? So I meditated with my tarot deck. Where'd it go? I have it here. Fantastic, gorgeous, wonderful. Check it out. Definitely buy it, get it. I don't know if that's gonna be backwards. I'll post it in the description. But I sat down with my tarot deck and I was like, please tell me who you are. And so I drew everything out, if you guys want some reference. But basically I had this like giant curved wall in front of me and like everything was black, as it like kind of is just in the astral realm, but like within this like giant outline of like a curved wall, it went straight up. It did not go back at all. Just understand, it went straight up and everybody was like sitting in rows as if it was like one of those amphitheaters, but it was like straight up. And they were all sitting there and it was all glowing. Like each little like spirit was like glowing and they were like, we're the spirit team. And I was like, damn, there's a lot of you, because like it went so high that I couldn't get to the top of it. I was like, okay, heard. So I was like, well, who would like to introduce themselves? And so I pulled a card before, oh, 222 on my timer here. I pulled a card before asking who wanted to introduce themselves, or like after asking it, I guess. And let's see, the Page of Swords was the first one I pulled upright. And this is the Page of Swords. Very exciting, very cute, very fun. So when I pulled this card, it was almost like this, I don't know how to explain it, but picture like just this part of like the torso and the arms, like just the shoulders, like walking out, crawling towards you. Y'all just get a video now. As you can see, I like drew it out here. So like this is what the guy looked like, but he was just glowing. There was nothing more to it, right? And I was like, okay, heard. And I was like, this is a crazy place to start, let me tell you. But like, it always made sense because especially the past like few months, I've been seeing hands in my head like crazy, like hands reaching out of places, and like hands have just been a very like important like factor in a lot of symbolism that I've been experiencing and like synchronicity. So I was like, fuck, like heard, hands, heard. And so I had to like, I'm not that experienced. Okay, let me amend that. I'm very experienced with tarot. Still don't have all of the meanings memorized to a T. So I always like to like do research and like intuitively pick out which source to like read further into. Because like I do have a book for this one, but like it's also brief descriptions, and I really like to dig into like the symbolism of like how that card got its meaning, yada yada, you know what I mean? So I'm learning. Very experienced on that. Anyways, so I write down what stands out to me in the words, and it was often shows up when we are in an intellectual space trying our best to impress. And I was like, okay, so you know what this is giving me? It's the vibe of that hands were kind of like a gift. Like if you have hands, the hand God works with you. And people who don't, he works with everybody. But like the whole purpose of like his energy is that you have to collaborate. But like as much as hands can communicate through themselves, like the whole point is that like it can only get you so far by yourself type energy. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting. So like when I was reading about like the card and more into it, it says that the card is about communication, indicating that our hands have power, and that we have to communicate through not just action alone, but like through communication, whether it's intuitively or like through teaching somebody how to help us, even if it's like without words, you know what I mean? Like you have to communicate and like work together with hands to really have them be efficient, which is why like another funny thing about them like coming in a pair is like you gotta have two, right? And I was like, damn, I never thought about hands like that. I'm like, I've never thought about hands in that sense even once. Like that's crazy. I was so confused why I've always seen them so much, and just like I used to win like art competitions when I was a kid. Like one of them was because I drew like a pair of like people holding hands, and it was like just the hands. Yeah, and just like this, it just made so much sense when I thought back through my life about like how I was always so good at painting hands, and like that I would won that competition with the hands, and that like yada yada. So I feel like that's something that I'm trying to point out to you guys, that like if there's something that consistently came up in your life that you never really thought twice about, and then you do something like this and it's very loud and clear what the symbolism is after that, like yeah, reminisce through your life and be like, damn, like I knew it the whole time, and give yourself credit for that, and finally figuring your way back, like it out, and finding your way back home to goodness. Okay. So Hands was super nice. I felt like I just hung out with him for a minute, and I was like, thank you, Mr. Hands. That's just what I call him, Mr. Hands. I don't know, I like it. It seems we're all friends here, okay? So he's Mr. Hands. And then so while Mr. Hands was out here, I pulled another card, and didn't look at it. I was just like meditating on like the spirit guide. I'm pretty sure I had my eyes closed when I pulled the card too, you know what I mean? I said after thanking Mr. Hands in my journal. Sorry, this was funny. So the next card I pulled, Judgment. And I was like, damn. Okay, so the vision that I got when I was meditating on this one, and like while Mr. Hands was like going off, just spilling his vibes with me, you know what I mean? I just saw this girl with like her arms crossed, like impatiently like kicking her leg, like waiting to go. And like in the most like 14-year-old petty girl way. It was so funny. I loved it. So I was like, I love her. She's an icon. Give her whatever she wants. And then I pulled Judgment, and like I was like, that's why she's so antsy, because like Judgment's like always like just around the corner. You know what I mean? So she's like always waiting for her chance to like come forward and like spill the beans. Oh my god, that shit was so ironically funny when she did that. Okay. Yeah, it says, so I wrote down, judgment can feel scary when it enters in our lives. It may demand a great deal from us. And like, that's how like she felt sitting there. Like she was just like waiting. Like, is anyone gonna point me out yet? Like, do I get to go yet? Like, is it my turn? Very impatient, very cute, very adorable. I loved her. I named her Lady Justice because she was nice. And like, even though it's the Judgment card, Lady Justice, because she brings justice. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't just bring the judgment, she brings the justice too. I loved her. She was so sweet. Okay, this next part is so funny. So also, I just want to point out with the Judgment card, I'm a Libra, for if you're looking for synchronicities with yourself and your spirit guides when you start doing this stuff. So like the idea of like justice, judgment has always been like a really big theme in my life. It makes sense. Libra. Yeah, so I'm like, maybe look into your sign if you're like, wow, that, like, why does that theme always come up? And be like, oh damn, that's literally my sign. Okay, this next one was adorable. Okay, this one's kind of fun. And so this is actually the spirit guide that specifically asked me to share this story. And like be like, listen, you have to tell them how you had visions of me like so long ago, and like you need to know who, like, that they need to know that they probably had visions of their spirit guide. So that's a message for somebody. I don't make the rules. So when I was younger, I used to always get these images like memories, like really intense memories, weren't mine for sure, because like they took place in like an almost like jungle-esque setting. I don't even know. And it was this guy who had like a big, like, I don't want to say rope, but like he always wore like cloth that like was like long enough to cover his hands that he would always stick his arms into. You know what I mean? And he had a long ass mustache. Long mustache. And he was like, I don't know. In all of them, he's old, but I'm assuming, obviously he was young at some point. But here, I actually drew a picture of him. Depicted here, as you can see. And I put the Seven of Swords here, reverse, but that's him. That's the man. My spirit guide with the mustache that I'd always seen since I was a kid, right? So if you also had weird memories that you feel like you don't remember being in a movie and you don't remember coming from literally anything except from yourself, might be a sign. Might be a sign that that's a spirit guide. So anyways, I would always have this vision, and I just remember it being from like the first person perspective, or like my dream perspective, which is like all of the perspectives at once. It's hard to explain, but like it came to me multiple times as both. So anyways, it would always just be like him standing there with like his arms in his cloak, and he's standing with another like young man. But like when I say young man, I mean like my age, like 20s, you know what I mean? So yeah, not like teenager. So but then they're looking, and he seems like they're both monks or something type beat, where like he's training him type energy. And so there's these two little boys fighting in like this like little river. Like they're standing on these like little rocks, and it's like right on like this rocky area. Ooh, one right on my thing right when I looked up. And so there's like little pebbles and rocks everywhere in this little stream, whatever. It's not too big, and they're playing in it, and then they start like fighting over a bucket, I believe. And they're like arguing, and while they're arguing, like the man with the mustache who has his arms in the thing, he like nudges the younger guy, and he just points at them like with his elbow, which I always thought was funny. He like points at them with his elbow and is like, watch. And then like the younger guy looks at like me or the older man and is like, huh? And he's like, oh my goodness, my phone ran out of storage, what the heck? I guess I'll make this quick. So anyways, he goes, look, they both want the same outcome, but like they misunderstand what they're fighting for. And he's like, watch, by the end of it, they're both gonna like make up and then like continue on their separate ways, because they never needed to fight over this in the first place. But I mean, he didn't. Yeah, okay, yeah. Sorry, I just like so lost my train of thought so hard there. Anyways, I guess that's a sign to move on, but like from that story. But yeah, so that would always come through to me as a kid, and I always thought that was really interesting. Seven of Swords reversed. Another card I did not expect for that story either. And when I researched it, it says, serves as a warning. Oh no, I'm so sorry. It says, coming clean of one's conscience, confessing, turning a new leaf, lacking a backbone, yada yada. And then I wrote that he serves as a warning, almost as if he allows others to expose themselves. And I was like, oh, this man is like the embodiment of karma. Like that's what his spirit embodies, karma. Which is really funny because I totally told this story out of order. But so before he came up and like introduced himself, I guess I haven't told this part yet. Okay. So when he was walking his way up from like that wall that I was talking about when I first started meditating and saw the lights, this little kid ran up. This little kid, so excited, ran up, and then this ended up being the card that I pulled for it. And he was like, he literally had a propeller hat, which is so funny because he has like, I don't know, that hat on, but in my thing he had like a propeller hat on. And he was so excited, and he was like, can I go? Can I go? Can I go? Can I go? And the old man was just like, go ahead. So I guess that fits with the bucket story. That's why I told that first. Okay, yes. So he's like, go ahead. And so the little kid comes up and introduces himself, and it says, frantically filling all your responsibilities, but things get easier with time, and it's about finding balance, right? Which I thought was really funny because this kid was so eager. Like he was so eager, and like every time like anything would happen, he would just be like, ooh, and I thought that was really cute. But I was like, damn, that really sounds like me. Yeah, I get it. I needed the eagerness, the need of balance. Yeah, that's been a theme in my life too. But yeah, those those were actually all the cards. And I just wanted to, now that I'm out of storage, I was actually gonna do a card pull read and find some synchronicities for you guys, but I guess not today. So these are my spirit team, at least 4 of them that I had time to meet that day. I hope you guys can see what I was talking about, where it's like these things would come up a lot in my life, because I'm sure you have just as synchronistic experiences. That was way faster than I thought it was going to be. That's so funny. Yeah, shout out Sonia Lazo. I don't want to say that wrong, but literally an icon. Yeah, this is my deck I bought forever ago. It was actually funny. One more story I was guided to share actually with this. When I got this deck, I interviewed it because I heard somebody recommend that. It was just 3:03 on my timer and I looked up. And the cards told me that this person worked super fucking hard on this. Like, it was a big journey of self-discovery, and that like they turned a new leaf when they finally finished it, even though it was a long, drawn-out process. And then after doing this tarot read, I realized that it came with a card where they like described their whole briefly their experience in making the deck and how it was like very transformative for them. It took them multiple years, and I was like so blown away by like the fact that the cards told me literally that exact story, that I messaged them on Instagram and I was like, bro, your deck just told me about you. And they were like, oh my god. No, because I was just like, congrats on like, you know, finding your way. Like, that's so awesome, and like you're changing lives over here too. Like, that's fantastic. But yeah, I will tag that artist in the description because I cannot. Anyways, sorry, I don't need to put that away right now. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me so much. I really appreciate you, and I hope you guys can literally meet your spirit guides, because I feel like that brought me so much clarity. I love you guys. Have a good day.